So the starting point for everything is why. Why do you do what you do? And there's always a very good image by somebody called Simon Sinek, who says you always start with why. And I want to put the why, and I want to put the why here in red. Why, and then how, and then what. Okay? So you always start from the why going out. I want us to start with the why. Why do we do what we do in education? What is the main purpose of education? And there are 4 main purposes that were identified by somebody whom I really think you should hear from, called Sir Ken Robinson. Okay, so let me label here Sir Ken Robinson. Okay, yep. Now, I'll change the color of pen again, just to write it. The first purpose for education, he says, is that education should be economic. Okay, economic. The second purpose is cultural. The fourth purpose is social. And the third purpose is social, and the fourth purpose is personal. And I want to very quickly talk you through each of this. What do we mean by the first purpose of education is economic? It's very obvious. Why do we go to school? At the end of the day, we want to be able to earn a living when we are adults. So that's the main thing that you're doing in school, preparing these people to be economically useful citizens for themselves and for the rest of us in the future. Second purpose is cultural. Culture. What's our culture? How do we live in our society? How do other people live? The second purpose of education is to help our students culturally so that they can fit here and they can fit with others, they can tolerate other people, etc. We know just how important culture is, and to be cultured and to be capable of interfacing with other cultures across the world. So second purpose of education is cultural. Third purpose is social. What do we mean by social? Somebody can interact with other people. Somebody can exist with other people. Somebody can request for things, can help others, can have empathy. Social. Very important purpose of education. And finally, fourth purpose of education is that it should be personal. And I really like going with the question here of, have you ever met a person who dropped out of school in Form 2? And that was the best thing that could ever have happened to that person. Have you ever met somebody else who maybe took up arts where everyone thought they should be doing sciences, and that was the best thing that ever happened to them? Or have you ever met somebody who went to school to do political science in university, but then really liked doing programming on the side and ended up becoming a very successful software developer as opposed to a political scientist on the other side? Have you ever seen such a thing? That's what we mean by education is personal. And this part of the personalization is where I really want to dwell on. It is, to me, the dream that CBC, which is the system we're implementing, has. And CBC talks about the personalization of education for every learner. Okay? Do not mind my handwriting. Personalization of education for every learner so that it suits each and every learner. So with these 4 purposes of education, that's the reason you as a teacher, you're there. That's the reason you do what you do, to help these people to be economically viable, cultural, social, and personal. That's the purpose of education. And if we pick up from this point of the personal angle, it can lead us now to the system of education we're implementing, which is CBC, which we've said is about personalization of education. So I now want to go next into the processes of education.